Fuck Joe Biden.
To go along with this, and I'm seeing through all of your lies, Barack Obama, you wicked, wicked devil!
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. Yeah, we're gonna have a good, nice, long chat with maybe just myself. Who knows? Who knows? It seems to be some rift in AmericaShirts night, and I don't know if he's going to be able to make it through it or not. Well, I'll pray and hope that he can actually make it through. I do have somebody to come through to help me with some of the Depp stuff. I'm hoping he actually comes and shows up here sooner than later. I'd like to cover that first. So, I'll just strike a little message to him real quick and see how long it takes him to actually show up. While we're waiting for him, let's pull up my list of stuff that I got here. So there seems to be a little issue with connecting to me right now. So give me a few seconds and let me throw a link at him here real fast, because he grabbed the wrong one, which is fine. It happens. Let's go back up here and do this one. Try that one. I know. Kind of stumbling through the beginning of this a little bit or whatever. It's fine. It is what it is. Just stumble through like I do every night. There he is. It's Outpost Nerd. What's up, man?
Not much. It's just been a great day.
It sure has been a great day. And that's why I put Depp on the top of the ticket. He was the first one on the ticket because of the great day. I'm like, yep, he just has to. I have not talked about him the whole time.
I'd say it's a day worth
watch
$8.3 million.
Yeah, I didn't watch like everything, but I did watch that last hour today for sure, and yeah, that was gold. I'm like,
I watched the verdict live.
Awesome. Yeah,
on Mercator's channel.
I was watching everybody because I was trying to record everybody.
And as the decisions were being read out, her face just got lower. And
I know. Longer. I watched her. I'm like, oh my god! You could see when she first come bouncing out, through the door or whatever. You could see that a little smile on her face or whatever. She was, happy to be there. And then all of a sudden, that first sentence come out, and they're like, yes. And you could see the look on her face, like, oh crap. And then the second one, you could see she's just like us, and she's like, oh, uh-oh. And the third one, she's like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" The fourth one, you could see her like starting to cry, and then she gets really sad, and then her head starts hanging low, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is gold."
$15 million total awarded.
I know, right? And that's what it's always going to show on the paperwork. It's always going to show that on the paperwork, regardless to Virginia's. Minimum thing or whatever. It's always going to show that number, right?
That's where the 3.8 thousand. It's like 308,000 was the most he could get in damages.
Right, those punitive damages, right?
Yeah, but with the decisions, since he lost, she won one of them. It became the decisions was the $10 million, and then she won one, so they take the 2 out of that 10, and that's where the 8.3 comes from. Which
is this right here. So this is the video below. This is the coverage from the reports going on in the courthouse. It says 7-person civil jury has found in favor of Johnny Depp in a high-profile court case in Amber Heard. They found that He was right on all 3 counts brought by Depp's legal team, awarding him $15 million. Heard's countersuit was successful in 1 count, and she was awarded $2 million. She
all,
get
all the
nothing.
law tube is saying, that was a compromise. That $2 million, that was just to, I think they were, because I believe they said there was probably 1 juror that was on her side, and that's why it took him so long. But that $2 million was just a compromise to get, because they wanted to go home, pure and simple.
Right. And so, I mean, not that I really, everybody should actually go thump the law and crime.
No, don't
because
go
I'm going to use their footage for a few seconds. I mean, I'm just saying, so that way they don't come after me for whatever reason. You should. I agree with you, but at the same time, it's easy access, so I'm gonna quick use it. I'm not gonna play the whole 9 hours.
Why don't you invert it? Can you invert it?
I don't have the abilities to actually do so. I don't know how. Yeah, what the expert does to be able to do that, where he puts his stuff to.
I think you're on regular YouTube looking at it. I think
am.
Yeah, he's on creators. The creator version has I'll have to look into that. Creator version.
I might have to look a little bit closer into maybe changing something if that's the case that I can.
But these are the idiots that kept going on before the verdict came in. Well, they had a prenuptial. No, they didn't. Oh my
god, dude!
This is
just ridiculous. Right. So I'm gonna kind of skip forward because we don't even want to listen to what these people have to say. It was this. Yeah. It was when she comes walking through that door. Is pretty. She's already in. This is okay. She's already setting. So
I think this is when the judge cucked us.
Oh, right. She come in first, and then she says, "You have to put a dollar amount."
Well, they didn't fill out all their paperwork. I guess.
They didn't fill it out correctly, which right away I thought the same thing that Nick Rekieta said. Oh, Johnny must have won it because otherwise they would have said something different. Oh, hey, Eddie. Just stopped to say hey. Gotta hit the sack. Yeah, you have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping in and leaving a comment. Don't forget to hit the like button for me if you feel inclined. So let's see what she... Is this the cuck? I think I have it sped up, so it's going at 2 speed anyway.
Yeah, because the cat lady can't move that fast.
Right. I believe I do anyway. Yeah, I have it on double speed.
Well, this was never about money for Johnny. That's the reason
no, it never was.
He didn't care about the outcome today. He just wanted his story out, and that's exactly what he did. Mm-hmm. He won in the only court that really matters anymore, and that's the court of public opinion.
True.
I mean, you're probably at least 10 minutes away from it. I don't know.
Okay, that must be where she...
Hopefully we're not in the spot where they send her. Who's the frog lady behind Rottenborn?
Yeah, right.
She looks like if Umbridge was a real person from Harry Potter.
She must have... Look at the twitch in her face. What's wrong with her?
She's just blinking because you have it so fast.
Oh.
Look at that worried face on Elaine.
Yeah, you can see that she knows something's
Mr. Foreperson, right. This is the verdict of the jury? Yeah. All right, is it unanimous? Thank you, sir. Jamie? In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard.
Say what?
Let's watch this normal speed because I'd love just be able to look at everyone's reaction.
Not watch everybody else and their reaction to see what they had, because that's pretty much what I did. I had 9 different screens up. I had all the lawyers and as well as Tug up to hear all of their reactions, and I was trying to record all their reactions at once, and it kind of got a little strange.
Could you maybe put my talking screen over the law and crime logo? Maybe that'll keep you from getting a little too much trouble. Can you move around the people's boxes on here?
I don't think I can move our boxes. The only thing I can move, hey Sully, is
Here comes trouble.
She's saying, oh, see, my studio's not set. And that's what happens when I'm...
Okay, never mind.
No, hold on.
Just a thought.
I still have to get some stuff going here.
1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard.
I laughed throughout the whole thing as they're doing this answer, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. This is so good.
I don't think anyone's took a more expensive shit in their life. She just $8.3 million shit she took on that bed.
Oh, Sully, we're not that far. We're only like 11 minutes in or whatever, and if we just seriously started this, we didn't really. It wasn't much that we said before this. Oops.
Yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has...
She's not even looking up anymore. Now she's looking down.
No, she is. That's one thing I noticed. Like she came in and she was all...
She's like, I paid this much and this team got me nothing.
Rotten proven by clear and convincing evidence that...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just calling Rottenborn is pissed. Guy beside her.
That Ms. Heard acted with actual malice. Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement...
It just makes you want to smile so hard because you're just like, yes.
Look at Rock.
Yes.
Watch him as they're reading.
She's almost in tears. You can see her. She's just like, oh my God.
At Rottenborn beside her. He's literally grinding his teeth. He is just biting down like, so hard. I've seen his jaw flex about 2 or 3 times in the past few moments.
It was false. Answer, yes. Question.
He looks up like, are you kidding me? Shit.
Yeah, statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Question. The defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question. Due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition.
Sally, I think by this point,
quote, I had the rare vantage point.
Yeah, I totally agree. They had to have known something because, I mean, though she's trying to show emotion, everybody else is just pretty much just like, yeah.
Well, they're not the one losing millions of dollars.
No, but they're going to want their millions too. So, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
They're like, oh, shit. How's she going to pay us now? She's going to have to go back to the
dancing.
stripper pole or something.
And that's what I said.
In real time.
Yeah. She's going to have to go back to stripping.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes.
Exactly, Sully. It's not always a bed of roses. Life throws plenty of stuff at you, and sometimes you just have to lay in the thorns.
I've with my experience with women are vindictive. In an argument, they go for the jugular, and that's what Amber Heard did. She went for the jugular, but the problem was she went too far. She made these such outrageous.
I think a lot of that's stigmatized to the point where they actually think that guys don't have emotions, so it's okay for them to actually, treat them
we're
like
told
they wish.
When we're abused or feeling physically or mentally hurt, we're told what? Suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, right?
And so even some YouTubers that I watch even say
no,
that.
I agree with you, Sully, because I actually finally found one that actually treats me correct.
I've shared my story, Sully, so I'm not saying all, but some of the women I've dealt with.
What's up, Slade?
Huh?
Oh, Slade. Just saying hi. Sorry.
And some of the women I've dealt with are vindictive. I can't,
right.
For lack of better word, bitches. I'm sorry.
Nope, say it.
They're fucking bitches.
Right.
I almost got kicked out of college my final semester because of a girl.
I never shit the bed.
Not yet, Sully. Not yet, maybe. I'm kidding.
Right.
Oh, I have.
Maybe when she's like 80, 90 years old and she needs somebody to assist her or whatever, she might.
And live a life that you have. Live a life that you have people willing to wipe your ass when you're 80, 90 years old. That's the kind of life I want to live. People care. Live a life that people will care enough about me to take care of me when I'm old and wipe my ass and feed me when I'm in a nursing home.
Well, there's a limit to that because you don't want to be treated like Joe Biden either.
Joe Biden's got his handler/wife
Mr.
around
Shit My
him all
Pants.
the time. I mean, everywhere he goes, she's sitting right there. She's standing there right there with him. But next topic.
Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CF...
I couldn't imagine the feeling that she has to be feeling after hearing 10 and then another 5 million and just being like, oh shit.
I mean,
I'm not worth that much. I'm just a...
I can't even get my brain around $1 million.
Right, I'm just a D-list actress. What do I know?
You know, I think the last thing I saw her in was The Stand. And that was such a shit. One, it was a shitty rendition. And two, they could not have put it out at a worst possible time. They put that out during the pandemic.
I agree with Sully on that one. She was stuck in his pocket and she just didn't know how to get back out. So
yeah.
She just went and she shit the bed and, started doing things or whatever, trying to figure out how to get out.
I'm not saying Amber is representative of women. I'm not. I'm just saying I've dealt with some.
Slade's like, I didn't even know who she was until this nonsense. Yeah, a lot of people didn't. She only got what she got was because of Johnny Depp, is my thought.
The first movie I ever watched with her in it from beginning to end was Aquaman.
I didn't.
I love Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is one of my favorite
He's hilarious,
actors.
but just because of her, it makes me not want to actually watch it now.
I watched it the other day for the first time in a while, and every time she was on, I just fast forward it. But I've been a fan of Jason Momoa since all you bandwagoners jumped on that when he was on Game of Thrones.
Oh, see, and I didn't even watch that, so no.
He was on a sci-fi show called Stargate Atlantis that I loved back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And he had a...
that was going to be my question. Is where did he even come from? Because I don't even know the guy from...
Well, one, he married one of the Cosby daughters. Lisa Bonet is his wife. Well, I don't know if they're still together.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he had done other stuff, but he got a starring role in a show called Stargate Atlantis, which I loved growing up. I watched sci-fi shows on the Sci-Fi Channel growing up, and this was one of my shows.
See, I only watched the wrestling off the Sci-Fi.
That's bullshit. That's not the Sci-Fi Channel. That stopped being the Sci-Fi Channel in 2012.
The old ECW. That stuff was great.
I mean, I watched the lasers, space operas. Oh, I love that shit. Still do, but they got dumb and decided to go get away from sci-fi.
L 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement, appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement, appearing in the April 27th, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up. got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the...
What's that?
This was her one win, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
The evidence that question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven, by clear and convincing evidence, that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement, appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, "We've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp," end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
That's what made me laugh, because like the first one, they gave her $2 million. It's like, okay, subtract 2 million from 10. And then they're like, 0. I'm like, she's screwed.
She's, my thing is she kept going on about, the industry protects men. No, it does not. And I have the perfect example of that. Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Weinstein, he was the industry. He was the star maker. He was the guy that
everybody went to go see if they would actually be able to. Right.
Hell, Jennifer Lawrence was like the year before everything happened. She was praising him during award ceremonies. But look at him now. If you see him, he's like last time I saw him, he was going into court with a walker. He was half the size of his pudgy ass before. We do not. If anything, the industry protects women, or I'm not going to say like Depp or like Heard, because she was not not as important as she thought she was.
And she was never that important. I mean,
No.
she was just a horrible actress. You know what I mean? It's like she should just stay doing what she was doing. She might have made more money.
I like what Sully said. She tried to own Depp when she couldn't. She decided to burn it down.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and
that
that's what she
perfectly
did.
sums it up. But it's just, I'm hoping that this might be indication that the pendulum's starting to swing away from believe all women.
I sure hope so. Because there's a lot of Me Too crap going on for the longest time. And it just seems like they're just, it's like, we can get them. We can do this. We can, whatever you want. We can go, and she went and she Me Poo'd it and screwed all that up. And I seriously think that there's going to be a lot of change come shortly, because there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to be like, nah, men know how to fight back now. We learned. We watched somebody actually do it and how to actually fight back. Mm-hmm. And that was by softly and calmly telling the truth.
Yeah, Slade makes a good point. It's Me Too is pretty much encouraged.
Yeah. Let's hope that this kind of changes that a little bit, so that people don't feel so encouraged to do so.
It's used to get people. if you believe that someone's in the way of your career, it's used to get them out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Aziz Ansari from Parks and Rec. He took a girl on a date. It wasn't the best date, so he decides not to pursue a second date. She accuses him of she Me Too's him.
Yeah, which is disturbing in itself.
My thing is, I poked someone I thought was a friend in the shoulder. Next thing I know, the next day, I'm called to the dean's office being accused of sexual harassment. And I hope this little bitch hears this one day. I don't want anything to do with it. I ran into her about a year or two later at an audition that I was at the college I was at, and I just turned around and walked away. I don't want anything to do with her. I was kicked out of the program, basically. Only reason I wasn't expelled from school is because the dean knew how hard I would work, and I was in my last semester. I took a 2.2 GPA and turned it into a 3.5 on the dean's list. In 2 semesters, I was on the dean's list from a GPA that low.
Nice.
I was making A's and B's for the first time in my life, and this little bitch tried to ruin it. I was told that if I went to see my friends over in the theater department, I'd get charged with trespassing and arrested. I was kicked out of the classes I was taking over there. I was kicked out of the show we were in. She gets a slap on the hand because there was one night before rehearsals, we're sitting around in the hallway just talking, and we're sharing shit that had happened to us on the internet, crazy shit. Grindr had stolen, a few years before all this, Grindr had stolen my Facebook profile picture and put it on their website. And I tell this story, and I get a bunch of gay and homophobic jokes thrown at me and slurs thrown at me for like a month. Everyone but her decides to just stop. I asked her to stop. She tells me, if you didn't like this, you shouldn't have shared that story. What patronizing bullshit is that?
Right.
I go to the chair, the division chair, and I get told flat out they're not going to do anything about it. But while I was at the talking with the division chair, she was with the dean of students and administration accusing me of sexual harassment. So yeah, I don't trust women anymore. Because
like Sully said earlier, or whatever. Not all women are actually like that. It's just that you just so happen to catch one of them that
not all women
is
are like that. But all women have that power.
No, right.
That's what I'm afraid of. I was in my my film and literature class, and
Keep your hands to yourself, man.
It doesn't matter if your hands are to yourself. If Koolfrogg, it does not matter.
No, I know.
I was sitting with a friend in our film and lit class, and I got up and left because she's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I can't be in here with you." I said, "You have the power to destroy my life with 3 words. And I don't want to be put in that position." This is what
and I've pretty much felt the same way that, because even Slade's agreeing with you. I've felt the same way for the longest time. You know what stopped that? One person, my wife. I met her 4 years ago. Right. I met her 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm now 45 years old. So at the age of 41, going on 42, I finally found somebody that was treating me better than the way I was treating them. It's just, I've taught myself to treat my wife better than I had any other because she isn't treating me like they were. So having that mindset that, you don't trust trust any of them because they're all the same, is something, and I get that because I was there. There is a way. There is a way out.
Not that I think. Hold on. You said something that kind of bothered me. I don't think they're all the same, but I do think they all have that same power.
No, right.
That's where I'm coming from.
I get what you're saying with that, and it's, yeah.
And there are cases that have happened that can go 15, 20 years after the supposed incident, and then something says Vic Mignogna, the incident that supposedly happened with him happened 01, 02, 03 at conventions, and look what happened to him. He was the star of one of the biggest anime movies in American history, Dragon Ball Super Broly. He was Broly, been doing the voice for years. And I know you don't watch anime, but he had done tons of voices. He did a web series called Star Trek Continues, which was a continuation of the original series.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's getting now people are trying to Me Too him from that.
That's ridiculous.
He goes to court.
Hopefully something like this kind of changes some attitudes.
That's why on Thursdays, if you watch Ricardo on Thursdays, everyone's always asking, any Vic news? We've been waiting for 3 years for a verdict on this case.
Right.
Well, on
seriously, I've only been watching him for the 3 years or whatever, and I started watching him just after the Vic stuff or whatever, because I went back to go watch some of it or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, there's a lot. I'm like, I'm not gonna go back and watch any of that.
Yeah, he does like 5 or 6 hours every night.
Right.
Because he has narcolepsy, so he's awake during this time, and everyone else is like, holy crap.
I get it. I understand how he feels. So,
and
not that I have the narcolepsy. I'm more of an insomniac, but you know.
And these are women that between the time these supposedly happened and the court cases were friends of his. Okay, Broly comes out sometime in January. Slade might know exactly better than me off the top of my head. Literally, the numbers come in from opening weekend, and then all this happens with Vic. This is because he's a Christian man. 2, he was up for a directing job at Funimation, which thank God is gone now. And 3, he loves his fans. If you go meet Vic, he'll remember you a year or 2 later if you meet him again at another convention. He's that good with people.
Sure.
And all this because supposedly he ate a jelly bean and made a crass joke about it. So that's 15 years ago. So that's why I'm skeptical, because this is like a sword of Damocles hanging over my head. So yeah, I'm not saying all women are like Amber Heard, but all women have that power to do this. Now, if they choose to use it or not, that's where the difference comes in. So that's my beef about this. I'm just glad it came out the way it did. You know,
right. I agree with you. I'm glad it actually came out the way it did. So then, there wasn't much left after that. They just pretty much say that they were gonna do something. They were gonna actually put him back into.
No, he's not going back to Fantastic Beasts.
No, they were in the courtroom.
Pirates.
They were going to do something else with the courtroom after whatever. There was something else that was supposed to happen, but that was pretty much the charges and what the jury had actually come up with. There wasn't anything more than that, if I'm not mistaken. That was
because if I remember right, she dismissed the jurors and Amber left right after. Mm-hmm. That, so it was pretty much over and done with. And I honestly kind of agree with Ricardo when he said, I don't think she's going to appeal. You know, because it could come off much worse for her if she tries to appeal.
So the reports that are out there saying that she is only worth a net worth of in the region of $8 million. There's one report that says she's in the range of about $2.5 million. She's that article that you see her, where she looks like she's got that skull on her face right there. That's exactly what it says. It says that several reports list her net worth at 8. But some say one says it's as low as 2.5. So at as low as 2.5 million, I mean, if she's smart, she can actually make payments for the next rest of her life.
She got shit to sell, don't she? She can sell her shit.
I just go sell herself again, like she was before.
Hell, I'm reading something. She dropped out of high school to move to L.A. Holy fucking hell, that was dumb.
So then, let's see. It says earning $10 million in total during the period between 2013 and 2019. Heard revealed that her testimony that she subsequently had 4 picture deals at the Warner Brothers that would have paid her $450,000 for the first film, followed by $1 million for Aquaman, and $2 million for the sequel. And then she'd be guaranteed $3 and $4 million for each of those, between $3 and $4 million for each of those roles. So far, the deal would have netted about 3.45. Additionally, Heard received 1.8 for an appearance in The Stand, and the further 1.65 million from L'Oreal. So I mean, she's really not worth the money. And she's really going to have a hard time getting a job. I really don't see her actually just going out and just being like, oh, I'm the actress for this now. Because there's going to be so many people that are going to be like, no. Just no. We don't want you. We don't want anything to do with you. We don't want your nastiness to even come around to even. We don't want poop on our set. You know, however, there's going to be something that's, nobody's going to want to hire this woman ever. And Johnny Depp's going to get hired. I bet he already has something. I bet he has something lined up right now.
Well, if I heard right, Robert Downey Jr. is wanting to do something with him. I mean,
okay. I mean, that could be, I guess, interesting. Depends on how you feel about Robert Downey Jr., I guess.
He's one of the best actors around, in my opinion. And his story was pretty much.
I'm not knocking the guy. I'm just saying depends on how you feel about the guy.
His story pretty much mirrors Robert Downey or Johnny Depp, other than the fact that RDJ got sober and Johnny looks like he hasn't. And I think they did stuff back in the. Go down to that bottom pit. Go down to that picture.
This one.
I wanted to see that side. Yeah. Can you enlarge it?
Maybe.
I just want to see that side of the courtroom.
No, that's as big as I can make it.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, Slade, she should be.
Oh, there you go.
The courts will not care. They'll look at her and say, "Okay, did you drive here in your car?" Well, yeah. Sell your damn car.
No, right. How much jewelry do you have? How many rings do you? All the gold that you have, all the diamonds.
Well, no.
That's pretty. I'm going to tell you straight out. I've gone through court on the wrong side of the court and walked through all this stuff. And each time that you go to court for like something that you owe massive amount of money on, there's a couple first things that they ask you. Do you have a house? Do you have a car? Do you have, jewelry? Do you have any type of savings? You got anything sitting in deposit boxes? Anything?
Yeah, I know that. I was going to just point out the fact, when you see these award shows, like the red carpets, and these women are wearing these gaudy, ugly pieces of jewelry, they're just borrowing that shit. That's not necessarily theirs. They're being paid by the designers to wear that shit. And then they'll turn around and have to give it back right after the show's over with. Just never saw the courtroom from that angle.
Yeah, it's
bigger than I thought.
So then, this thing here.
Their worth just shot up Oh, shit ton after this case.
Oh yeah, everybody that has a any kind of Me Too case or whatever is going to be looking at these guys. Can you help me? These guys are going to pick up cases.
Hi everyone. Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the jury has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
Well, that guy behind him with the sunglasses, there were times during the case he would just. There's one where Amber Heard's telling him like the day she'd had, and when she said, "Oh, my dog stepped on a bee," he literally had to get up and leave. He was laughing so hard. So I think that's one of Johnny's bodyguards.
That's funny.
It was. This was satisfying. This was a satisfying day.
It was. It was satisfying in so many different ways, and it's just.
Love you, Johnny. We love you, Johnny. We love Johnny. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you.
See, people.
Everybody just likes this guy. He's just so likable, and just.
Yeah, I mean it's good it came out like this. I think this was really one of the few times where the courts got it right. I mean, you see, I think even bigger than the Rittenhouse acquittal, this was. It was a great moment. Great moment.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I gotta get up for.
So then last thing that I was going to kick for this was Johnny Depp's net worth. You know how much this guy's worth?
Oh, it's probably a couple $100 million.
$150 million net worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're saying is his total net worth. So I mean, does he need the 10.5 or 10 in whatever? No, not necessarily.
No, but like I said, and I'm bet he's going to actually donate this money to a charity or something.
And that's what I was because he's worth so much. He can just go and he can say anything that she actually does pay. He wants to go towards a specific whatever and just watch the world be like, what in the world did you just do?
Well, I think we probably won't hear about what he does with the money, to be honest, because he was going on about how he doesn't really like when he donates to a charity. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight for that. That was one thing he said specifically on the stand, I remember. But I'm gonna jump out. I gotta get up early in the morning.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
Yeah, this is why I wanted you to join me, was because of this stuff that I know that you know a little bit more about.
Yeah, I spent most of the time watching Ricardo's or Legal Mindset and hearing their views. All right, well, night, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
Later, B. Well, so now it's just me. Now it's just me and nobody else. It sounded like AmericaShirts was having issues. If there's anybody else out there that knows how to actually get to the show setup, anybody that feels like joining in, doesn't matter who you are, come hit me up and we'll figure it out. Wait a minute. Where did my flag go? Okay, there it is. So, what I was going to do next. So that was all the Amber Heard stuff that I was really going to go through. I wasn't going to hit anything else on that. Now, where's my... Seem to be missing an article. Where is this article, dang it? Oh, man. Well, I was going to talk about the Sussman stuff, and there was a Matt Gaetz thing that where he actually talks about him. I guess we'll just skip that and we'll just move on to the next. What? Drop down to nobody watching me? That's just awesome. Slade's still with me. So, being that I'm going to skip the Sussman stuff, we'll go straight to the next topic. I'll do a special on the Sussman stuff by itself if I have to actually cover the topic. This was a little disturbing. Some news that actually came out today that I was kind of like, what in the world? You got to be kidding me. So it seems as though I'm going to actually try and do that way maybe. It seems as though under under this new world that we live in, it says that Hinkley, who gets full freedom after 41 years after shooting Reagan. So, attempted assassination no longer gets you life. You can actually get away with, if you didn't actually kill the man. So this is John Hinkley, who shot President Ronald Reagan in 1981, is no longer in danger to himself or others, and will be freed in all restrictions this month. A federal judge on Wednesday capping Hinkley's 4-decade journey through the legal and mental health systems. U.S. District Court Judge Paul Friedman. This guy here, Paul Friedman. Who do you think this guy, U.S. District Court Judge? Who do you think appointed this man? This man right here, Paul Friedman. Let's go quick glance and let's see where Paul Friedman comes from. If you look at his wiki page, it's going to tell you who exactly appointed him to his position. Appointed by the one and only Bill Clinton. Go figure. Yeah, exactly, Slade. There's some stuff that's just going to be really strange. That we're just be like, well, what world do we live in? It's just weird. So Bill Clinton appointed Paul Friedman, said in September that he would free Hinkley from all remaining restrictions on June 15th as long as Hinkley continued to do well living in the community in Virginia, as he has for years. At a hearing Wednesday in Washington, which Hinkley did not attend, Friedman told Hinkley that he continued to do well, and the judge made no changes in his plans to full freedom for the court oversight. Quote, he's been scrutinized. He's passed every test. He's no longer a danger to himself or others. Well, the thing is you can say that he's no longer a danger to himself or others, but he hasn't been out in the world with the rest of the world for how long? How many decades did it say? Oh, since 1981. So, a good 4. So when you actually think about it, he might actually have some issues readjusting to the world the way it is. It's not the same it was back in the 80s at all. He noted that Hinkley who turned 67 on Sunday, was profoundly troubled when he shot Reagan, but that he had been able to get mental health help. Hinkley was showing no signs of active mental illness since the mid-1980s. The judge noted Wednesday that and has exhibited no violent behavior or interest in weapons. Hinkley is confined to a mental hospital in Washington for more than 2 decades after a jury found him not guilty by reason of insanity for shooting the ex-president. Starting in 2003, Friedman began allowing Hinkley to spend longer and longer stretches in the community with requirements like attending therapy and restrictions on where he can travel. So, okay, so he has been actually put out into the, and maybe he will adjust a little bit better than some, but at the same time, to actually just go and open up and give him full, you'd be like, oh, you're good? We're not going to watch you no more? Doesn't sound so safe to me. Some of those include allowing officials access into electronic devices, email, and online accounts, being barred from traveling to places where he knows there will be someone protected by the Street Service or Secret Service, and giving 3 days notice if he wants to travel more than 75 miles from his home in Virginia. So he's still going to have, or he was still under those types of restrictions where he couldn't, he had to actually report to where he was going. But, prosecutors are previously opposed ending restrictions, but they changed their position last year. Oh, last year, huh? Saying they would agree to Hinkley's release from conditions if he continued to show mental stability and follow restrictions. So his mental stability just so happened to be getting better? As he's getting older? Is that like Joe Biden stuff that you're not paying attention to? I mean, I just don't get it. Prosecutor Casey Weston said in court Wednesday that the government believes that the case has demonstrated the success that can come from the wraparound mental health system. She noted Hinkley was expressed a desire to continue receiving mental health services even after he was no longer required to do so, and said that the government wishes him success for both his sake as well as the safety of the community. Hinkley's longtime lawyer, Barry Levine, said in the case it started with a troubled young man who inflicted great harm, but that, in the end, I think we have salvaged a life. Really? You salvaged a life? This life you just so happen to worry about and care about? What about the ones that we actually don't allow to actually, what you consider, live, because you don't want to actually allow them to actually just be born? F off with the leftist bullshit. Well, yeah, exactly. Joe Biden's brain is 100 years older than his actual, because of the stuff that he's actually, hemorrhages and stuff that he's dealt with. Obviously, we all know that, some strings are being pulled there. Quote, John worked hard. We wanted to correct something that he was unable to erase, and this is the best outcome that one could imagine. His regrets will always be with him, with respect to the families of those he injured. Do you think he really cares? Do you think he actually has remorse for anything that he had done? Because I doubt it. He was going after the president. Levine said his client hopes to pursue a career in music and has real talent. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. Oh, he has a YouTube channel. Great. John Hinkley Redemption Tour. What appearances in Connecticut and Chicago for what was called the John Hinkley Redemption Tour have been canceled. Oh, okay. Reagan recovered from the March 30th, 1981 shooting, but his press secretary, James Brady, who had passed away in 2014, was partially paralyzed as a result. Secret Service agent Timothy McCarthy and Washington police officer Timothy Delhanty were also wounded. Reagan died in 2004. In the 2000s, Hinkley began, with the judge's approval, making visits to his parents' home in Williamsburg, Virginia. His father died in 2008, but in 2016, he was given permission to live with his mother full-time. Still, he is required to attend individual group and therapy sessions and barred from talking to media, and could only travel within the limited area. Hinkley's mother died in 2021. He has since moved out of the home by selling items like at an antique mall and by selling books online. That's how he's made his money. Hinkley has said that his YouTube channel that he has started a record label, Emporia Records, and his first release will be 14-song CD of his music. He also promotes his own or his music on Twitter. I mean, if you really want to hear about an ex-shooter become musician and actually hear what kind of music the guy actually come up with, go check him out, I guess. For whatever reason that would be. But, this Bill Clinton appointed judge that actually is allowing him to actually run wild, he's really disturbing me that he's just openly, allowed this to occur. So then, there's you'd assume that judges don't have a political leaning, but they obviously do. So being that they have a political leaning, I'd almost think, this guy's pretty much about as deep state as the rest of them. And he's just as old. 1944. I mean, come on, dude. You're old. Why? You're 78 years old. You witnessed this. Do you not remember this as a young man, watching this stuff happen, watching Hinkley actually go and do this? It was aired all over the TVs. I really don't see how this guy just openly just goes and allows this to happen. It's really disturbing. But so everybody knows, there he is. He's out and about. He's free to do whatever he wants now. So then, what did I say next? Tulsa. And yes, I'm going to move through this pretty quick because I am by myself. Chat, if you have anything to say, go ahead and say it and I'll slow down. But otherwise, it's just going to fly through as fast as I possibly can. Let's see. And this is what's nice about having a co-host is when you have to actually do the moving and screen sharing or whatever, somebody else can be talking while you're actually popping through from screen to screen trying to figure out which one you're trying to do, because it's like multiple clicks to get this to actually work out. So then there's the Tulsa one. This is breaking news as of today. This is police say a man was armed with a rifle and a handgun, was also found dead after Wednesday's shooting in the St. Francis Hospital. So this was 4 killed in the shooting in Tulsa Hospital. Gunman is also dead. So 4 people in Oklahoma Hospital. The gunman, described as a 35 to 40-year-old armed with a rifle and a handgun, appeared to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Tulsa police captain said that the gunman fired the shot at the officers were kicking in the stairwell door to gain access to the medical building where the gunfire erupted. As many as 10 people could have been wounded in the shooting. No injuries were considered life-threatening. Well, that's good, I guess. I mean, I'd rather it be a good aim as opposed to poor aim, but means he wasn't properly trained and didn't have the mental capacity to actually know what a gun actually does. The shooting occurred shortly after 5 o'clock in the Natalie building of the St. Francis Hospital. The victims, whose identities are not being released, appear to be a combination of patients and employees. Part of the shooting appears to have occurred inside the orthopedic facility on the building's 2nd floor. The gunman and his motive have not been identified. Well, the motive's easier to identify when the gunman's still there. But obviously the gunman's not there because he went in, did what he did, and then selfishly took his own life. As opposed to actually, 'cause obviously he didn't feel any remorse for anything that he had done. He just went and he did what he wanted to do. My thoughts is there'll be more information on this. So this, you can see this here. This was actually released as of 5 o'clock today, the 1st. Yes, it is still the 1st for me. And when you actually, delve into it a little further, you'd almost assume that there is a motivation behind him actually walking up the stairs to the 2nd floor to take out the people that he was taking out. There's no way that he didn't have a reason to actually do that. And, you know, maybe one of the patients was a relative, or maybe an ex or something was a nurse, or there could have been 1,000 different reasons on why this actually happened. But it actually happened. And how many people actually heard about it? My thought, not enough.
Our dispatch received a call of an active shooter at the Natalie Medical Building at 6457 South Yale Avenue. We had officers arrive at the location at 4:56, so a 3-minute response time, and made contact with victims and the suspect at 5:01. And that was them making their way to the second floor. The officers that did arrive were hearing shots in the building, and that's what directed them to the second floor.
So that's what directed them to the second floor, is they actually heard shots. There wasn't a phone call that said, hey, there's a gunman that just entered, he's up on the second floor. None of this. There's no security, there's no cameras that's seen this. Most hospitals have some kind of, security, you'd think.
Right now, we have 4 civilians that are dead. We have 1 shooter that is dead. And right now, we believe that is self-inflicted. Officers have not been interviewed, but we're certain that's a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
We didn't interview anybody, but, we're just going to assume that's what actually happened. That's not always the best thing to do either. Making assumptions just makes an ass out of you and me, dude.
On his part. The scene is fairly limited to one section of that floor on the second floor. And officers are currently, and detectives interviewing witnesses that were throughout the building, and especially those on the second floor. No officers were injured. We have a reunification center set up at Memorial High School in the auditorium on the north end of Memorial High School for families that may have had somebody in this building at the time and have not been able to make contact. That is a location they can check in with for information.
So if you had somebody that you knew that was in this hospital, you go to the school to get the information. They got it.
Right now, the suspect, we do not have an identity. That we believe we're getting close on the identity of the suspect. He is a black male, estimated to be 35.
Oh, it's irrelevant now because it's a black male. You shouldn't even be talking about it because it's not anything to do with any narrative whatsoever.
To 40 years old, and we have confirmed he had 1 long gun, a rifle, and 1 handgun on the scene at the time. That's what I have, and I will turn it over to.
Can we confirm?
I'll come back for those questions.
Okay, thank you.
What was yours?
Well, you said 5 people total dead.
Yes, 4 innocents, 1 shooter.
Exactly said. Not good. It's like, it's not going to be talked about. I mean, it goes against the narratives of what's happening nowadays. So you can't do that. You have to stay with the narrative, which is freaking disgusting and disturbing in itself. So, like I said, we're just going to pop along real quick here because, there's no other person to actually leave a comment to anything. He should have left it. We don't know his identity. Right? I mean, that would have been a way to go. But, he called it out like it was, so that people understood that that's what's exactly happening. But, it doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. So there seems to be some news that keeps on moving along with this Uvalde, Texas school shooting. It's like every day there's something new. Again, this is from today. So this is Uvalde shootings evolving narrative. Here are the details. Police have walked back. 19 children, 2 teachers, which is all true there. So here's the walk back stuff when we actually get through here. So it says, the massacre of Uvalde last week scarred the nation. Anybody that hasn't paid attention, doesn't know anything about this, please go back and watch my last couple episodes. We actually do talk about it at some point in time for at least a little bit, because it's kind of, daily news at this point. So here, original claim. A teacher had propped open the school's back door shortly before the 18-year-old gunman entered and launched the rampage. This is from Steve McGraw, the Department of Public Safety Director, May 27th. Look what changed. Authorities are saying now it was later determined that the teacher who propped the door open with a rock later removed it and closed the door. When she realized there was a shooter in the campus, but the door did not lock. Travis Considine, a spokesperson of the state agency, told the Associated Press on Tuesday, "We did verify she closed the door. The door did not lock. We know that much, and now investigators are looking into why it did not lock." Were they supposed to lock by themselves? So you can't get in from the outside. You can only get out from the inside. Not to trap students in. And if that's the case, why didn't she pull the door? Because most likely, if it didn't lock, it didn't latch either. So it was left semi-prop still. Now, doors that have their own swings, where they actually, shut themselves, like this door, probably the reason that she put a prop in there, whatever, to hold it open. When you actually put props in your doors to hold them open, eventually the door knows what you're doing, and the door will continue to stay open a little bit without the prop, because you warped the spring that's in the door that's closing it. I mean, am I the only one that realizes this? Or, I just don't understand how people just don't get it when you don't do something. Don't ever prop a door open, ever. What were you doing? Smoking? Needed to go outside to get some nicotine so you could deal with them kids? Original claim. An officer of the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District engaged the gunman before he entered the school. The narrative changed. The gunman wasn't confronted by the school police officer at all and entered the building unobstructed. So there was nothing that was stopping this person from just simply walking up and walking through the door and doing what he had done. I personally think that the teachers should actually have training and have their own guns, so that way if something like this happens, they can take care of the issue. Here's another one. Original claim. Officers had immediately entered the school, engaged the active shooter, and continued to keep him pinned down in that location, meaning the adjoined classroom the shooter had entered and opened fire in. Officers kept him pinned down in the room until a tactical team could be put together. Finally, when the door was breached, officers engaged the shooter and killed him. Wrong. Narrative change. Rather than keeping the gunman pinned down, officials are unable to enter the classroom and stop the rampage, despite the lives at risk. So they were unable to enter the classroom. So the person, whatever, walked in the door and locked it behind him. Like the teacher originally was maybe supposed to. I don't know. I mean, locking doors in a school to me sounds a little scary for the children, you'd think. And if there was, other things that happened, like a fire, and they needed to get out, if they weren't old enough to know how to open that door, they needed the teacher's assistance either way. That's kind of disturbing. I wouldn't want my kids going there.
Julia, good morning. One big thing that has come into question is security at the elementary school. Police originally said that the gunman got in through a back door that had been propped open by a teacher, but now they're saying something different, and this is not the first inconsistency we've seen in this case. What's going on?
Yeah, that's right. It seems that we get a lot of new information each time we hear these spokespeople representing Texas DPS talk to us. The latest is that this teacher who is said to have propped open a door, apparently she was bringing food back and forth from her car into her classroom. Remember, this was a day of a lot of celebrations at Robb Elementary. They just had an honor roll ceremony. It was almost the end of the year. The story at first had been she had propped the door open, and that's how the gunman got into the school without anyone stopping him. At first, we thought there was a school resource officer. That person apparently was not even at the scene. But we'd always heard that door was propped open. Well, yesterday, her lawyer said, no, she saw the gunman approaching, ran inside, and slammed the door shut. And that typically, when you close the doors, they automatically lock. That is the security system at this school. Now, though, we're hearing from the Texas police that she did not. Yes, she closed the door, but it did not lock. So more details coming out here. This teacher has not been identified. Of course, she wants to keep her privacy because people would be angry that she had left this door open if the gunman was coming. So she's protecting her privacy, speaking out through a lawyer. It's a really tense situation just about this door, whether it was propped open and whether it actually locked when she pulled it closed. Of course, if it did not lock, that would be a problem with the way the school is supposed to be secured.
And Julia, we know that the school police chief, Peter Arredondo, the school district's police chief, has come under fire for his response to the shooting. It's understood that he incorrectly believed the gunman was barricaded in the building and ordered officers to remain outside during the shooting. And we've heard those chilling stories from parents pleading with officers to go inside. And after more than an hour, federal agents reportedly then disobeyed that chief's orders and entered the school and then shot the gunman. So given all of this, where do things stand with this police chief right now?
Yeah, that's right. We keep hearing that Chief Arredondo, he is the head of a police force of just 6 that oversee the Uvalde school district. He was the chief, and he's the one who was the commander that day who said there's a barricaded situation, although there are a lot of questions because there were 911 calls coming from the children, and they could obviously hear shots and screaming inside these classrooms. He had decided that there was no more of a threat.
No, is it a classroom or classrooms? I mean, it sounds like they were joined rooms. So you walked into one room, walked through another one, into another one to, do what he was doing.
To life, that's the call you would make when you decide that it's a barricaded subject rather than an active shooter.
Did this person know what he was actually going to do? Was he coaxed into doing this? Was there somebody that actually was trying to convince him to do this kind of stuff? What? I know, Sully. It's sad. So then the original claim again. The shooter was in the school for 40 minutes to an hour before the classroom was breached. Here's the change. It was later revealed that the gunman was in the school for over an hour before he was taken down. Just so disturbing on so many levels that these narratives that people feel the need to push and lies. Stop it. Just tell us what the heck is going on. The shooter had worn body armor. Nope. The shooter was wearing the type of vest that tactical teams wear. There was no armor inside there. Thanks, Sully. I'm glad you're enjoying. Here's another one. When asked Friday if any officer had rescued their own children from the school, McGraw said, "Not that I'm aware of. No. Though it's not clear if any on-duty officer pulled their own children from the school, Jacob told NBC's Today show on Tuesday that he had helped rescue his daughter, Jada, a second grader, at that Robb Elementary School. An off-duty Customs and Border Protection agent, Mr. Jacob Alvarado. Teacher can't be responsible for the door, the children, and the security. No, exactly. There needs to be, they're saying there was no liaison officer at all. They need somebody to be there to actually take care of this. And in the United States, we're all scared of the gun as opposed to the person that's behind it. So we can't just sit there and put, we can't put armed guards. Don't put the armed guard. Second that somebody comes up, they're the first person that they're actually going to see, though. They're going to see that there's somebody there. Let's see here. That's what I don't get. Why the Border Patrol, don't they have SWAT team? Yeah, I mean, it said that he was the police chief of this small town of Uvalde that was consistent of 6 officers. So I mean, no, they didn't have anything. Think about the movements in school. We get locked out with all of the kids. No, yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, it's just disturbing that they don't actually have somebody there to actually protect the teachers while the teachers are protecting the children. And I've said it a couple times now, is that the teachers should actually have some kind of firearm, properly trained. That way, if something like this ever occurs, they can take out the threat. No, I get that. Teachers don't get door codes. And that's why she actually had that door propped open, supposedly, that, didn't lock behind her when she thought that she pulled the door shut. So, I mean, it's very disturbing. Like I said, we're going to kind of kick around here pretty quick unless people have something to say. Just because I don't have a co-host tonight. It seems as though AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com had some personal issues to deal with tonight. I hope everything's going well with them. So then, where was I going next? Oh, this guy. Oh, I actually had the Border Patrol agent had actually left a little thing here on Fox News.
Now, 1 week ago, off-duty U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent Jacob Alvarado, he started his day at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. He was at an award ceremony for his 8-year-old daughter, Jada. She's a second grader at the school. Well, shortly after the ceremony ended, he went to get a haircut. Well, that's when all hell broke loose. At 11:41 a.m., he got a text from his wife, Tricia, a 4th grade teacher at the same school. There's an active shooter. Help. Love you. He immediately jumped up, started looking for a gun. The barber had one. I guess it was a shotgun, and together they raced toward the school. When Jacob arrived, he saw the chaos unfolding, and he knew he needed to get inside to bring his family and anyone else he could to safety. Jacob is here with me now exclusively, and I'll let him pick up from there. Jacob, what happened once you got to the school? How'd you get in?
I was trying to get to my wife's room. My wife's been working there for 7, going on 8 years.
Flip it on the
And
teachers.
I know the majority of the law enforcement there, so I just announced who I was and made my way towards my wife's room.
And what did you see when you went in?
As I went in, I just saw a whole bunch of kids running off campus, jumping through the windows, cops breaking windows, and just a complete chaos pretty much.
And you saw your daughter, and I know you gave her a big hug.
Yes, I mean, I had spoken with my wife on the phone. My wife had told me that she had already left her room. She was across the street at the funeral home, and from that point on, I went to go look for my daughter.
Now, on CNN today, Jake Tapper had a Secret Service agent.
Sully, so you're saying, let's see, field day, double recess, outdoor class parties, walk to gym. So, I mean, it sounded like there was a lot of stuff that was actually going on that day. There's some commencements or whatever in this particular school, where, you know, because they're getting ready for the end of the school year or whatever. I'm not sure what you're actually calling you're not believing this guy.
Agent on talking about this issue. Watch.
An off-duty CBP, Customs and Border Protection Agency agent, who was able to go inside the school on the day of the shooting. Other parents and other loved ones were standing outside the school at the time, some of them even reportedly being handcuffed.
This is a clear example of the complete breakdown of the incident command structure. The fact that the public was allowed to get so close to this critical incident site is shocking to me. It breaks all these protocols. We have so many unanswered, questions right now.
Jacob,
I believe that she would.
I don't think you, the parents, and the protocol issues are the overall problem here. But you know, the implicit criticism from Tapper, you'll probably not be surprised to hear that. Maybe it's slight criticism, or maybe I'm making more of it than it should be, but that, you know, you got to get in there and that the other parents didn't. And you got to make sure your kid was okay, even though you were helping others get out. Do you have a response to that?
Once again, I mean, it was just complete chaos. Everybody was concerned for their child. Thankfully, like I said, I was off duty.
See, now you got me thinking, Sully. I'm really thinking that this guy's just a plant. This guy really, seriously, I really don't think that he's actually saying what he actually is. They're just trying to make it sound different, and saying that he, you know, obviously he's saying that he knew where his wife's room is and he knew where his child was. So I mean, that's confusing.
I've been born and raised in Uvalde for going on 42 years. It's a small community. Everyone pretty much knows who I am. And like I said, my wife works there, so they all know who I was.
Yeah.
I was able to get on campus. And like I said, I wasn't just trying to save my child. I was trying to get as many people out of there as I could.
Jacob, the community is in such deep, immeasurable, inconsolable grief. But I've been reading about how important the churches have been, the Catholic Church and others have been, as a comfort to all the families, the grieving, the surviving, and the children who we think about tonight. What have you seen about the community coming together after this unimaginable evil?
It's amazing. Everyone's giving a helping hand. It's you would never think such people would come out of the woodworks and help out. Everyone, Walmart, everyone. We were getting food trucks from all over the place, barbecue trucks coming in from Alabama, feeding people, knowing that everyone's hurting. It's amazing how much people have been helping out Uvalde.
Jacob, how is your daughter doing, and how is your wife doing?
My daughter's fine for the most part. She still has friends that have passed. My wife is the one that's really affected because she was right there by the shooter. The shooter bypassed her room and shot up the rooms on the opposite side, and my wife lost some of her close friends.
Jacob, if I had been you and I had gotten the same call, I would have done the exact same thing that you did. Probably not as well as you did it, but I would have done the exact same thing that you did. And I'm thankful that you ran into that building. Maybe other parents could have run in and helped.
Or other officers or anybody else that wanted to actually feel that they should actually take care of a situation where, you know, multiple children are at harm, you know.
It could have, should have, would on everything, but I'm thankful that you ran in and did what you could. And our prayers are just so strong and fervent for the entire community. And we just, I mean, there are no words, but please extend our concern and our prayers to your wife and to all those around you. And thank you for your work for the Border Patrol as well.
I don't believe the guy. I really don't. I mean, it sounds like a good story. You know, my wife was across the hallway. She was safe. But she lost some friends. It's like, exactly. It's some little kids. All to push narrative. That's my thought anyway. I mean, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. I believe that's what it is. They're trying to push a narrative to actually get things. You know, that guy didn't sound like he was legit. He sounded like a plant. Let's see here. So, next story. And again, we're going to pop along here pretty quick tonight because I'm by myself. Biden administration sourcing 380,000 pounds of baby formula from Australia as part of Operation Fly Formula. Oh, come on. What's Australia using? Oh, never. They don't need it because they're not having children.
The press has largely moved on from the baby formula shortage. That was a huge story a couple of weeks ago. We've since had to deal with a couple of horrible mass shootings, war in Ukraine, and other matters. But there's a lesson here that I see in almost all of these disasters, and it's worth dwelling on, and that is usually when there is a major fiasco, scandal, shortage, government miscalculations, somewhere in the bowels of the bureaucracy, somebody blows the whistle and the top people don't get the message. You see this actually in some of these mass shootings too, where the suspects are known to police but nobody takes any action. So a Washington Post report says there was a whistleblower who sent a 34-page report to FDA back in October about unsanitary conditions at the Abbott infant formula factory that was later shut down for months. Abbott is the largest manufacturer, one of 4 American companies that makes this stuff. And by the way, this remains a crisis for millions of parents who are scrambling to get formula for their babies and infants. But the report written by this official never made it to the top food safety officer at the FDA, Deputy Commissioner Frank Yanis. And he gave an interview to the Washington Post in which he said, "Why didn't we act more quickly on the complaints and the whistleblower report? Who knew what when?" There's going to be some tough questions to be answered here. He said he didn't learn about this report until 4 months later. That's inexcusable. It's totally unacceptable. Now, I had some questions about Yanis because, according to the story, he spoke to a Post reporter who had identified...
Okay, hold on here. So, this is insane. If I could have gotten my child, I wouldn't care what anyone thought. I'm going to leave my kids so it's fair to others. You know, that doesn't sound... I mean, sorry, but, you know, if I go and I'm going to go into a place where I know my child is and save anybody, you damn right. That's the first person I'm going to. I'm going to go save my child. I mean... hate to say it, I may be selfish or whatever, but
themselves in a message by name, title, and the nature of the story in a voicemail, and then he calls back talks to the reporter, uses the reporter's name, and then later cuts off the conversation and says, well, I didn't know I was talking to a journalist. What? How much more clear-cut could you be? Now, some whistleblowers over time have become famous or infamous, ranging from Mark Felt, Deep Throat, to Daniel Ellsberg, Pentagon Papers, Karen Silkwood, and so forth. But most of them don't get made into movie characters. And the problem is that these are life and death situations. A few quick examples. The Challenger's space shuttle disaster.
Just glad it's bat poo and not amber poo.
A guy named Roger Boisjoli was an engineer at a NASA contractor, and he had warned repeatedly that when the weather got too cold for one of these rockets to launch, the elastic seals on the joints of the multi-stage booster rockets tended to stiffen, and that could be a problem. And in fact, NASA had never launched, according to the research that I did, a rocket in as cold weather as happened, even though it was in Florida at that time, and that was the key defect that led to the Challenger blowing up. In an interview later, this guy says, I fought
lightning storms were fun.
I'm so torn up inside, I can hardly talk about it even now. Back in 2010, there was a major mine collapse. It was called the Massey Energy Coal Mine. And there had been somebody who had done an investigation earlier of this mine for the Federal Mine Safety Administration, made recommendations. He believes that his recommendations have been followed. This had to do with, protecting the safety of the people who go down into the earth. 29 miners would not have died. One more quick one, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, that complete environmental disaster that happened during the Obama administration. An oil industry whistleblower said that BP, the company that presided over this mess, had been aware.
This is supposed to be about baby formula. What in the world am I listening to? The hell? I guess I'll just read it. The Biden administration announced Wednesday that it's requiring about 4 million 8-ounce bottles and 380,000 pounds of infant formula from Australia to be delivered to the United States by next week to address the ongoing baby formula shortage gripping the nation. Like I said, if we're going to do that, what's Australia going to... Oh, they're not having children because they can't. The move is part of the President Biden's Operation Fly formula, which was launched last month to speed up the import of infant formula to begin sending more formula to stores across the U.S., which is just going to drive up the prices of the formula because now you have to pay for the shipping and all this other stuff to come along with it to get it here. The president on Wednesday said that the administration is sourcing 2 flights facilitated by the Department of Health and Human Services and Transport Bubs Australia infant formulas from Melbourne, Australia to Pennsylvania on June 9th and California on June 11th. The delivery is expected to include 380,000 pounds of Boobs Australia infant formula and approximately 4.6 million 8-ounce bottles. The administration said additional deliveries of, I love the name, of Boobs Australia formula will be announced in the coming days. Last week, the Food and Drug Administration announced that Boobs Australia could export infant formula. It is expected to export enough powdered formula to produce 27.5 million 8-ounce bottles in the U.S. I mean, that's a lot. The formula includes Boobs Organic Infant Formula. Boobs are, well, we don't need to say boobs that many times, I guess. Boobs. Biden also on Wednesday announced on a third Operation Fly formula mission to ship approximately 3.7 million 8-ounce equivalents of Kendamil infant formula. Last month, Biden invoked the Defense Production Act to address the nationwide baby formula shortage and directed his administration to use Defense Department aircraft to pick up formula from overseas that meets U.S. health and safety standards. So, I mean, who do you think you are? You're just going to send Defense Department aircraft over to go and pick up some... I mean, it sounds just strange. Yes, boobs. Like, human boobs are the best. You should always just yes. Big, small, don't matter. They're like cupcakes. Always fun to play with and tasty. The announcement comes from the supply of infant formula across the country and decreased 40% since April, leaving parents of newborns frantic to find food to feed the babies. In addition, Abbott Laboratories announced a Similac recall, exacerbating formula shortage in recent months. And they're still messing around, trying to figure out where this contaminant was, whatever, to actually fix their issues. And I don't believe that's the truth. I believe that they're actually trying to actually change the way things are to make it harder for us to actually live. The White House has said it works 24/7 to address the issue. Yeah, sure you will. I'm sure you're sleeping. Yeah. Boobs. The president directed HHS and Department of Agriculture to use Department of Defense commercial aircraft to pick up overseas infant formula that meets U.S. health and safety standards so it can get to the store shelves faster. Because just sending any other airplane over there wouldn't be fast enough. You have to actually use some more expensive way of doing so. Just stop it. Could be idiots. The White House said DOD will use the contracts with commercial air cargo lines as it did to move materials during the early months of the coup to transport products from manufacturing facilities abroad that have met FDA safety standards. Barbecue spaghetti. Boobs. The Defense Production Act is the first enacted in 1950. It is response to the Korean War and has since been invoked more than 50 times. The act also addresses voluntary agreements for what the government says is an association of private interest approved by the government to plan and coordinate actions in support of the national defense. The provision permits business competitors to work together to plan and coordinate measures to increase the supply of materials. For the week ending May 22nd, the out-of-stock rate of baby formula rose by 70% nationwide. I was just through, even the small town that I live in was walking through the local Walmart. Yep. It's just so picked over, it's ridiculous. It's a significant increase from the week prior, when the national out-of-stock rate of baby formula stood at 45%. No Amber and real boobs are on demand. This thing might turn around yet. Abbott Nutrition's Sturgis, Michigan facility, which exacerbated the industry-wide shortage, is expected to restart production June 4th. Oh, so in potentially 2-3 days here, whatever, we should actually, this facility is going to actually return to production. But is it going to return to full production, or is it going to be, it's going to take some time. Like, when you produce things like formula, you think about it and you're like, oh, they're just going to fill some cans, put a lid on it and send it out. Nope. They got to form the can, usually, somehow, some way, get the can shipped in or something. They have to have bottoms that will actually go through another machine and actually seal the bottom onto it. Something that will actually line the inside. Another machine that will actually fill the inside, another machine that's going to extrude the plastic lid, that's going to, something else that will actually stick the lid on top of it after it's actually been sealed with that seal that's on the inside. There's so many processes that go along with it. And then their packages, they stick them in like a cardboard that goes through a shrink wrapper that's going to actually hold these containers together in multiple different sizes and, whatever. It's not just going to be a simple, oh, yep, we're up to go. No. it's going to take a couple months for them to actually finally get the swing of things or whatever and actually start being able to do regular shipments again. Thanks for the recommendation and the menu item. Boobs. So basically what it sounds like to me is Biden's trying to actually get formula to people and put something on the shelves, but he's using defense funds, DoD commercial aircraft to pick up the stuff from it. Just more and more money. This stuff is going to get expensive. At the Y. Sully, at the Y. That's where we eat breakfast. Let's see, what else did I have here? See, I'm missing a couple articles. Something went wrong with my internet. So the next one was woman versus bison. Leave wildlife alone. I shouldn't really laugh at it because, really when it comes down to it, maybe she wasn't trying to scare the female bison. So this is a woman visiting Yellowstone National Park was gored by a bison and tossed into the air. Park officials said Tuesday the 25-year-old woman who is visiting from Ohio has not identified in news release from the park. The woman approached the female bison Monday morning after it came close to the boardwalk at Black Sand Basin near Old Faithful Geyser. She approached it. Why would you approach it? Don't approach it. Salmon sounds delicious. Park rules require visitors to remain more than 25 yards from the animals. The largest mammals in North America, which are unpredictable, can top speeds at 35 miles an hour and can jump several feet. Animals are really actually very, adaptable to things. So it's like, when they tell you to stay away, you stay away. An estimated 2,300 to 5,500 bison live at the park, and they have injured more people than any other animal the park has said. Why was she walking up to this bison? She should have just walked away. There's nothing there for her. But she did. She walked up to it. So I can't omit two things. I already omitted one because I don't have the article with me. I'm not going to omit the last one. Where did it? So then. Okay. And the last one, I thought it was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Why? What in the world made such a thing happen? Was it coaxed? It just kind of was leisurely walking around? Was it hungry? Mountain lion strolls into Northern California high school. A mountain lion entered a California school on Wednesday morning and was safely confined in a classroom. Safely. They just kind of like, oh, there it is. It went into the room. Close the door. All students and staff at the Pescadero Pescadero High School in the town of Pescadero were safe. The San Mateo County Sheriff's Office said in social media posts, staff and deputies have been able to isolate the puma in the classroom, and there's no immediate threat. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has notified to come to the school and remove the cougar. Pescadero is a small coastal town about 35 miles from San Francisco. I thought it'd be a light, something fun at the end of the thing or whatever. Just be like, oh, look, mountain lions will just randomly walk around just like any other wild animal. Be careful. Don't go near it. Sounded like this was an interesting day for randomness to occur. I'm just like I'm glad they didn't shoot it. At least they went and they just, removed it, took it back out to the wild. It's always positive. Because, if it would have actually attacked somebody or done anything to somebody, they would have just taken it down, and then they would have went and ran random testing on the cat and all this other stuff. Poor kitty. That being said, I did have one more thing on the docket. I mean, I can try taking a look to see if I can't come up with this particular article. I don't know how long it's gonna, or this particular. Thought it was. It was just a little clip that was. Between Sussman, or wasn't between, it was, I want to say it was Matt Gaetz actually said something. There's a little, I don't know, it's Matt Gaetz. Some people don't like him. Some people don't have a problem with him. This one. Okay, I think that's probably what it was. Is because I actually had it through Twitter as opposed to a different article, and I must have been using the Twitter. Closed it by accident. So this was supposed to be the second thing where I was going to talk about Tucker Carlson, Matt Gaetz.
So much going on, you may have missed this. A jury today comprised of several Hillary Clinton donors acquitted a lawyer called Michael Sussman of lying to the FBI. Now, who's Michael Sussman? Sussman is a former partner at the law firm Perkins Coie, the biggest Democratic firm, the firm that represented Hillary Clinton's campaign. And in that capacity at Perkins Coie, Sussman laundered false information about the Trump campaign to the FBI. So a pretty tight relationship between Sussman and the FBI. We're learning tonight much more about the connection between the FBI and Sussman's former law firm, Perkins Coie. Congressman Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan have just received a letter from Perkins Coie's attorneys. This show can report exclusively that in that letter, Perkins Coie admits the FBI has maintained a, quote, secure work environment within Perkins Coie offices for more than a decade, going back
Clinton,
to 2012.
From wild animal to the next.
According to the letter, quote, Perkins Coie is responsible to the FBI for maintaining the secure work environment. That workspace, whatever it is still in operation today. Ever heard of anything like this? No one we spoke to has. Matt Gaetz is the man who found this. He's, of course, member of Congress from the state of Florida. He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. This is bizarre. Tell us what it is and what you think it means.
We got a report from a whistleblower that we confirmed through multiple admissions, including this letter, showing that the Democrat Party's law firm, the law firm that received $42 million from the Democratic Party has this co-located workspace that they operate in concert with the FBI. Why in the world would that be the case? Why would Christopher Wray allow it to continue? Then you also have to ask yourself, why within the last 12 months was the person on behalf of Perkins Coie operating that work site Michael Sussman himself? And we heard through this trial that you just referenced that the FBI believed Michael Sussman was lying to them in 2017 when he was shuttling false information about Trump into the intelligence process. And now we learned for 4 years after that lie, Michael Sussman was in fact operating this secure work environment. So what reason would there be for that, and what leverage would the Perkins law firm have over the FBI given this work they're doing together?
So I know that this story, to the extent they can, will be ignored by the media. And to the extent they can't ignore it, they'll say, well, this is just normal. There are good reasons for this. You're an attorney. You serve with a lot of other attorneys. This is not normal, correct?
I have spoken to former federal prosecutors on the Judiciary Committee and throughout the country, and I have not heard any describe a relationship like this with a private law firm, and especially because Michael Sussman was an election lawyer. Why in the world would an election lawyer be operating this facility in this way? And our concern is that politically motivated dirt was being converted into politically motivated investigations. That's why Jim Jordan and I are making demands for answers on Christopher Wray immediately. And it's my hope, certainly, that we shut this facility down. The Democratic Party shouldn't have this special access, special portal to the FBI, especially knowing what we do now.
So it's just so they eat their own once they don't have something the other, or don't like something the other does. Well, yeah, that's life. That's what everybody always does. I shouldn't say everybody, but that seems to be the general consensus on what happens. Is people they're so narrow-minded that they just kind of be like, well, I don't like that. So, let's just continue to do something else that's just as bad.
They were often trying to take this opposition research and then use
that
we
need
for
to
law
cancel
enforcement
all
and
of the
counterintelligence purposes.
Everybody.
Yeah, you can't politicize the country's
again.
biggest law enforcement agency. I mean, that's completely third world, and you've borne the brunt of that, as we both know. Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, I appreciate you breaking that story for us tonight. Thank you. Amazing.
We'll stay on them. Thank you, Tucker.
So, he's like, well, this is what we found. We found this. And there's some more information out there about this particular trial from the Sussman stuff. And I really, really seriously can't wait for somebody to actually start opening up their eyes like Matt Gaetz and shutting this crap down, stopping people from doing stupid things, and give us back our freedoms that we've always had. You're just trying to stop us from being able to enjoy what we enjoy doing. And, great reset stuff, whatever, however you look at it, it's all very disturbing. And Matt Gaetz really, this is Fox News. You can take that with a grain of salt. This is like you can at any other news site. But Matt Gaetz actually goes through and he actually finds some stuff, whatever, against Hillary and the stuff that she was pushing against Trump. And now all of a sudden we're like, okay, I can't wait to wake up in the morning and see what else happens. Because it seems that every day there's something new, something more that's happening with this Sussman case. I'm just slightly touching on this tonight. One of these couple nights from now or whatever, I'm assuming we'll try doing more of a deep dive on the Sussman stuff. Hopefully I can get somebody like AmericaShirts here with me just to actually help out with that. AmericaShirts, I hope you're doing okay. I hope everything works out for you. I hope your family's feeling okay. And hope to see you soon. Everybody else, thank you for actually joining me tonight. We're just going to call it quits for now, and later.
Back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Fuck Joe Biden.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.